The compounding effect of tracking this month over month means you can actually see how much you're growing and then how close you are to that ultimate vision of financial freedom. Today I'm going to go over 3 steps that I still use today, but these 3 steps are exactly what I did to be able to achieve financial freedom by the age of 30. A lot of people talk about financial freedom and how you build wealth, and especially how you build wealth without giving up time. But it's got to start somewhere, right? So for me, there's 3 very simple steps that not only have I used, but if you have a spouse or a partner, we've used together to be able to achieve financial freedom. My wife and I have been married over a decade, and we've been doing this month over month over month. So the first thing that we do is a step called the intensity of vision. So before we start getting to anything that you got to do, you got to understand, like, what is your shared vision? What does that vision look like? One of the things that we wanted together, my wife and I wanted together, was financial freedom. So that's great that you've established what it is. Maybe it's your dream house. Like, name 2 to 3 pretty big things that maybe you think is going to take a very long time to be able to achieve. But write it down, and in a perfect world, when would you want to achieve it? Okay? So the when matters too. And obviously for my wife and I, it was like, as soon as possible, we want financial freedom. So like, by what age does that look like? And then the very last step that you want to talk over with your spouse or your significant other is, at what intensity level are you willing to give up or sacrifice to be able to achieve that vision? Because that matters for the time. For example, on a 1 to 10 scale, like a 10 is you literally will sacrifice anything and everything. You are not going to go on vacations. You are not going to eat out. You are going to wear the same jeans, right? The same clothes. You are only going to basically live with what you need, because every single dollar after that is going to be invested so that you can catapult your way to financial freedom. Now, a lot of people don't want to give up a certain age of their life or a few years of their life. And that's okay. Like, it's okay to go to Starbucks. It's okay to go out to eat. It's okay to go on vacations. But you got to be honest with yourself of what intensity level that looks like. And I think if you do have a significant other, divorce rate's about 50%. So making sure that you understand your intensity level, because I see this a lot in entrepreneurs or business owners. Their intensity level is like a 9. Like, they are very, very focused on accumulating wealth, making sacrifices. But then they have a partner and they're more like a 5. And I think when you don't recognize that and you don't have conversations around that, it does lead to a lot of bad things that could happen, even if you achieve financial freedom. Who wants to get to financial freedom and then realize that you hate each other and then you're going to get a divorce or you're not going to be with each other? So I think the purpose of this shared intensity of vision is recognizing where you both are. And in this case, if you are a 9 and your husband is a 5, you might just have a conversation of why you feel like you're a 9, why you want financial freedom sooner than they do, and you're willing to make more sacrifices. And maybe they understand that, right? And maybe they'll help you understand that there are things they just don't want to give up right now, and that isn't worth doing it. And they would cost themselves a few more years from that shared vision. So maybe you guys end up on a 7. But by having that shared intensity of vision, now every single month before you talk into any financials, guess what you're talking about? What are the things that we want? We want to build our dream house. We want financial freedom. You want X, you want Y. Okay. Well, let's talk about by when did we want them and our intensity levels. Do we feel like the last 30 days on a 1 to 10 scale, you say to your husband or you say to your wife, what were you? And you just be honest about it. It's okay. Like, if you're supposed to be at a 7 and 1 month you were at a 5, just adjust, right? Be honest that you weren't exactly where you need to be, and here are a couple things I'm going to do differently. By having these conversations before you even get into financials, it really, really helps the relationship, and it keeps you on track for driving towards the thing that you really want. Like, one of the reasons that I believe that we achieved financial freedom much earlier than even we thought is because every single month we were talking about our vision. Every single month we were being honest with each other about how many sacrifices we were both making to be able to achieve that, and whether we were okay with those sacrifices or not, right? There's difficult things that came up, even some of our friends or family or whatever, that were making different choices. We had a lot of friends that upgraded their home and we chose not to. That was hard because we kind of outgrew our home and we needed to make that upgrade, but that did not go along with our plan or the things that we really wanted. So we would have to sacrifice years off of our journey. So by having this constant conversation of like, is that going from a $100,000 house to a $200,000 house or a $200,000 house to a $400,000 house, is that what you really want, right? Or is it fine living in your $200,000 house and making some sacrifices and living where you are for a little bit longer, even if you had a few kids, so that you can ultimately achieve financial freedom faster? If that's what you want, it's the conversation that matters. Step number 2, you have to run your life like a CEO. And it's amazing to me the amount of people that want to build wealth, want to be financially free, that don't run their life like a CEO. They don't understand their operating income. They don't understand their operating expenses. And I'm going to start with expenses because honestly, expenses is the lesser of the two. But you need to have a cash flow budget. And with that comes income and expenses. Expenses is important to understand and to mitigate, but not the most important factor into how you're going to achieve financial freedom. The expense bucket, this is what it should look like. Number 1, it should have your needs. How much per month do you spend on your needs? Needs are obviously like basic food, shelter, so wherever you live, so if your rent, your insurance, your mortgage payments, probably things like internet and gas and utilities. On a monthly basis, what are the things you absolutely need? But then you should have a column of wants. Wants could be your Netflix subscription. You don't need the Netflix subscription to live, right? So what are your wants? Going out to eat, right? Buying new clothes. Whatever those things are, there might be things you want. And you should also mark those down too. In a business, you would definitely know your operating expenses, what it takes to run that business on a month-to-month. So why wouldn't you know that personally? I know to today, right? And maybe now I'm not doing this, I'll have my accounting team do this, but I know what my operating expenses are, what I need to live, and what I spend that I want to. And the point of this is just being okay with it. I know so many people that they didn't even realize they're spending $800 a month going out to eat. If you want to spend $800 a month to go out to eat, that is totally fine. But what's not okay is being ignorant where the money is going, okay? So make sure you understand how much it would cost on your needs and then how much you want to spend on your wants. And you and your spouse or your significant other, you talk about those things before the month even starts. Then we talk about the income side, because this is a cash flow budget, so you need the income side. And your whole goal with income is how do you make more and more money? With expenses, you can only cut so much, right? With income, you can make as much, right? There's no cap on the amount of income. And you want to be able to track that too. So if you're in a W-2 job, if you have a side gig, what are the things or the levers that you can pull to be able to earn more? I know for me, I spent a decade working at a W-2 job. And I knew that I could earn a bonus if I did X, Y, or Z. And I knew I could get promoted if I did X, Y, or Z. So I focused really, really heavily on making as much money as I could by being the best I possibly could for my company. At some point, I also started making more excess money, right? And then you can start doing side jobs or different things on the side, which also would help you make more money. So you want to be able to track that and you want to be able to grow that. The last thing with running your life like a CEO is the bottom line cash flow. You should know unequivocally how much cash flow per month that you are projecting to make. And then you should create a game with you yourself or you your spouse on how many months in a row can you go increasing that cash flow. You want to beat my record? It's 17 straight months. So 17 straight months, I beat the previous month's cash flow. That is very hard to do, right? If you are cash flowing, let's just say $100, or God forbid, a negative amount of cash flow. Because guys, like, if you want financial freedom, you have to be net positive, which means making more income than expenses. But make it a game, have some fun. If it's $100 next month, try to do $125. What do you have to do to save or make $25 more? When you start thinking like this, you're gonna increase your overall cash flow. And that is key for step number 3. Step number 3 is the scoreboard. It's the thing that we're not taught in school, which is your assets and your liabilities and how to make those assets and liabilities work for you. Because if you are cash flowing more and more money, and now let's just say you were cash flowing $1,000 a month and a year goes by, you have $12,000 sitting in your asset column. Well, that's great, except for the fact that that $12,000 is going to be making very minimal money for you sitting in the bank. you obviously got to do something about it. So for me, one of the biggest things that I learned is that I need to update my net worth, which is just assets minus liabilities, every single month. And I need to increase that in a way that increased my cash flow. So for me, I wanted financial freedom before I was 59 and a half. Putting money into a 401k that gives you a penalty before you would take out that money just didn't work for me. Maybe it works for you, right? Because you're at a different stage in your life. But for me, I needed to make sure I found ways to be able to put my money, my cash flow that I was saving up, into investments that paid me now. Because if I did that, it would not only increase my net worth, right? But it would also give me cash flow now that I'm not working for. That's actually how I fell into real estate, right? I tried a lot of different things. I tried investing in stocks. I had a Roth IRA. I had a 401k. But a lot of my assets weren't producing income today. One of the things I loved about real estate, and this is not something that you have to do, but certainly something you should look into, that if I bought a property, right, and the income, just like running my life like a CEO, the income was higher than the expenses, I had cash flow. So if I bought a duplex and both doors netted $200, that means that I had $400 coming in each month of cash flow, or $4,800 a year. And if I would save up money and I'd buy another one, now I have almost $10,000 coming in every single year. And that's huge, right? Because if you were making, or you were like netting, let's just say over the course of the year, that $12,000, right? $1,000 a month. Now with that first property, you're not netting $1,000 anymore, right? You're netting $1,400. And then if you go all the way back to like your needs to live, if you want financial freedom, you got to be able to cover your needs. And then you probably don't want to quit your job or, walk away from whatever you're doing if you don't have enough to cover some wants. Because who wants to be financially free and not, do cool stuff, right? You're not going to want to be financially free and not go on a vacation. So for us, it was just about how do I look at my net worth and update it every single month and get laser focused on increasing that net worth in a way that also produced velocity or also produced income without spending time on that income. So for me, what we just did is over and over again, we decided to take all of our money, right, all of our cash flow, and literally go broke by buying property after property after property. And it didn't take very much time, right? Because after we bought the property, we handed it off to a property management company. Sure, we made sure we held them accountable or that the property management company did what they said they were going to do, which does take minimal amount of time. But it started producing that velocity of cash flow. And as that accumulated, eventually our real estate portfolio was buying more real estate, right? And then eventually the real estate portfolio was actually paying for our expenses. And now you reach financial freedom. So I know those are 3 really quick steps. You really want to get every single month really clear on your intensity of vision. Talk about it, talk about it, talk about it. Then you want to be watching your cash flow. You want to understand how much cash flow you made last month and how much cash flow you're predicting this month. And obviously the whole goal is to go up. But you will not be financially free by just increasing your cash flow because you're giving up your time. Which brings you to step number 3, the scoreboard. You need to be increasing your net worth, and you need to be making sure that your net worth, right, your overall assets are actually producing income in the time that you want. If you want to retire or you want financial freedom at 60, then a 401k may work for you. Or whatever avenue you want. For me, again, I chose real estate because I love to get the cash flow now. It also has serious tax benefits, right? And I also love the fact that real estate has appreciated over the years. So if it took, my first property that I bought over 10 years ago is worth a lot more today than it was over 10 years ago. So that I really, really like that it produced cash flow for me to help with my financial freedom. But the value from an asset standpoint continued to grow, which again increased my overall net worth. Those are the 3 steps I still follow to today. Still helps me increase my overall net worth, and I'm compounding it and I'm velocitizing it so much more than I was when I first started looking at it. My net worth was negative 40,000 when we first started this after college, right? And the compounding effect of tracking this month over month means you can actually see how much you're growing and then how close you are to that ultimate vision of financial freedom. If you like this video, hopefully it helped on your journey towards financial freedom. Go ahead and leave a comment with any questions that you may have. I just posted a video the other day of 10 different steps that I take to be able to find a deal. So if real estate's the thing that you want to achieve financial freedom, go ahead and check out that video and maybe it'll help you get started. Thanks for watching and see you in the next one.